joining us to this masterclass session today in terms of your personal branding. And we're going to dive into issues related to how you can be able to then, have your own personal brand as a person in terms of for you to be able to have that competitive edge in terms of the job market. So thank you very much for joining this session, and thank you for taking the time to be with us today. Joining the session, we know that there are a number of things. It's about month end. There are a number of things that you have been engaged in, but you still managed to then take the time to then join us for this session. So thank you very much for joining the session. We truly appreciate it. Our session for today will be talking about mastering the art of personal branding for the job market success. So you might be asking yourself what then to expect then today, what you will be then being, engaged in. So these are some of the things that we're going to be engaging in. We'll be engaging in issues related to understanding a personal branding. What is personal branding? Why does it matter today? We'll be engaged in some of those particular issues. We'll then also be engaged in terms of, some of the issues related to how you can grow your digital footprint as part of the masterclass keynote, in terms of how you can be able to grow your brand and so forth as a person, right? And then we'll link that, personal branding in terms of now your BBA program that you'll then be taking up, right? How does it link? We try to provide that synergy in between the two in terms of linking what you could be studying or what you'll be exposed to as part of the BBA program. We'll go through in terms of the program overview and how some of the modules actually link when it comes to now personal branding, and so how some of the modules they might be able now to bring you up in terms of the job market. How can they make you to be seen as the most competitive in terms of the market? How do you then get that edge through some of the modules that you'll then be exposed to as part of the BBA program? Then we'll then go through in terms of some of the career opportunities, some of the things that in terms of when you start, as a junior person or as a graduate, where do you now start? And even before even you even graduate, where's the start point in terms of now growing your career, in terms of having that start, in terms of the career that you envision for yourself? And then we'll go through issues related to admission and process in terms of how do you then get to be admitted and so forth. And then we'll have a person to assist us in terms of the financial aid, and they will be taking you through in terms of some of the issues that are concerning in terms of your finances, and so forth. What are some of the opportunities that Regenesys does have in relation to supporting you with your studies? The session agenda. Okay, I think there's somebody with their mic up. If you are able to then mute yourself. Thank you very much. And then we'll have our Q&A session then, where you can pose your questions and comments, and then we'll see in terms of how we can then tackle some of the questions that you might be having. Thank you very much, then, colleagues. This is what then you should be expecting for today in terms of our session. Okay. So, colleagues, let's start from here. Before we even try now to look at the animal that we have now in the room, in terms of the elephant that is in the room, which is personal branding. Let's first start by introducing in terms of who is Regenesys, where did we start it, and so forth, and what are we all about, right? So Regenesys was founded in 1998, by the visionary Dr. Marco, to Penny Law, and now Dr. William Vivian, and when they founded Regenesys, specifically, they were, studying at a certain public institution, which I won't mention the name, and they thought about how do we then, make people's life better? How can we transform the entire education system and make it as a holistic development? They said, yes, all these institutions, what they do, they focus on your cognitive thinking, which is your intellectual IQ side of things, in terms of, the technicality, the technical stuff. How do we then go beyond that? What they now thought about is this now concept in terms of the holistic development to say, let's go beyond the IQ of the person. Because you're here today, it means you're able to write, you're able to comprehend, you're able to think critically, you have some basic numeracy skills. That's why you are here today. So can we take it a step further and a step beyond now, which now, involves in terms of being a purpose-driven person, where now your SQ comes in terms of your spiritual intelligence, to say, are you driven by purpose? Why are you existing as a person? That's how they founded this particular company in terms of what is the existence. Have that self, expression about yourself. Looking at your inner self in terms of what am I existing. They wanted to evoke that spirit in terms of what is it that am I existing for. They wanted to look in terms of issues related to emotional intelligence. How do we then deal with other people? Because we're coming from different backgrounds. We have different backgrounds, different exposures. How do we now, connect with other people from an emotional intelligence and perspective side? How do we then, ensure that we create that diversity with other people? So the mission when Regenesys was then founded was to just create a better world, a better place to be, through as leaders of the future. That's what they wanted to then instill some of these, holistic development intelligences so that they can be able to shape a different leader. Because problems that we are seeing today are problems that are done by people and the problems that are done by the current leaderships that we have, right? How do we then sharpen, and have a different perspective in terms of the leaders that now Regenesys was to then grow out, right? So thank you very much, colleagues, then for joining us in terms of this session. And that's at least as much as I could bring you in terms of, who's Regenesys education, where was it founded, and so forth, right? And then, colleagues, I will then now be taking you through what we are here then for the session today in terms of personal branding. How do you then master that particular personal branding in terms of being able to be competitive in terms of the market, right? Because the market is now saturated. There are too many people inside the market. How do you then distinct yourself? You distinct yourself through, through the CV writing. Do you distinct yourself through your online presence? How do you then distinct yourself so that the line manager or the hiring manager is able to say, oh, I want to then hire Sipo, or I want to hire Ntapsing, or I want to hire Elizabeth. How do you distinct yourself? Because CV writing could be having the similar template that is there. What is it that will make you then different in this, job market, which is very saturated with people who are there, who have maybe a better degree than yours, who are maybe having a postgraduate diploma, a postgraduate degree, than you, and so forth. So we are going to define in terms of what personal branding is. And as part of our definition, we're going to steal from Jeff. Jeff says that your personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So already you can see that if you can get the hiring manager, get an application, you send it out, you get a hiring manager to then speak about you without you being present in that room, without you having even received an email confirming in terms of, you being shortlisted to be part of the interview. That's where the personal branding is. It's the ability for you to be able to influence the next person without without that other person seeing you, or having heard from you, right? That might have heard through, social media in terms of what you're posting, in terms of some of the blogs that you follow, and so forth. Because in this day and age, what then happens is, as employers, we tend to now Google you in terms of what did you post? What do you speak out for? What do you then stand for? What are some of the values that you then stand for? Those are the things that we then look. It's very crucial in terms of how you manage the social media. It could be your make, it could also be your break when it comes to your personal branding, specifically in terms of the job market, because you could be posting something that could not be speaking directly or could be speaking against the employee that you want them to be then hiring you. Just think about some of those particular issues, which now speaks to issues related to now your personal branding, being equal to your self-promotion, right? What is it that is there in LinkedIn that has been spoken about that you can also share your piece of thought about? Are you able to share some thoughts in terms of some of the things that are then being shared as part of LinkedIn? Because now you can view also LinkedIn as part of a blog, because people then post some of the issues that are currently happening, which is current affairs. Are you able to talk, have conversations around those particular things? Those are some of the things that we looked at as hiring managers when we want to then look at you as a person in terms of your brand, right? In terms of what you are then being exposed to. Jeff has actually been able to then articulate it very much well in terms of the definition of personal branding. And it's more than just an image, colleagues, that you are then creating. It gets to issues of reputation now, in terms of, you get that reputation. And there's a saying that it takes years to build a reputation, but it takes just seconds and minutes for you then to break it. So protect your reputation with whatever that you have, because that's the thing that will take you up in terms of when you're applying for a certain job, right? What reputation do you have? That's why people are asking for our references. Why do they ask for a reference? The reference is in particular the issue of now reputation. How are you carrying yourself in terms of a work environment space? How do you then carry yourself? That's what they are asking. Those are some of the questions that they ask as we give out references. They're asking those particular questions in terms of, have you been in particular disputes, in terms of conflicts? How do you then manage them? How do you then carry out in terms of some of the burning issues? How do you then, try to influence other people to hear your thoughts? Those are some of the things that they then do ask about. And some of the values that you then share, those are the things that they try to then link through your social presence, through how you are then being present in terms of online, right? We know some of us might be, I was one of those people that were taken back to say, I don't have a Twitter account, now being known as X. I don't have a TikTok account. I don't have Instagram account, but I do have a LinkedIn account, which, because I view it as more professional than the other three, but you can still utilize the other three as very professional, in terms of a professional space. And I will show you how. I'll show you how, in terms of how you can be able to leverage on those in terms of building your personal brand as a person. Right? But I want to then share in terms of those are the things that they look at. But if you're not then present, the issue is they're not able to then source, and be able to extract that, are you sharing the similar values with them as an organization, right? They're not able to be able to engage in that because you're not present. The issue of presence, you are not present, you are not there, you are not known, right? And you don't need to be a famous person or an influencer in a specific thing, but you need to be able to share your thoughts and your ideas in specific subject that then interest you as a person, right? Whether it's in relation to strategic management, whether it's in relation to mergers and acquisition, how companies are being bought, whether it's in relation to politics. Because I can tell you this, politics are affecting everyone directly. You might want to think they're affecting you indirectly. They do affect you directly, and you should be involved. Let your voice be heard through how you then share in terms of some of your thoughts and some of those particular issues, right? Create that presence. And we'll be talking about that as part of how you then do that personal branding as a person. You know, all of us, we do have a brand. All of us. It's just that it's how we then present it now when we are out there in terms of with the line managers, with the hiring managers, with the companies that we want to be part of, right? How do we then present that brand? It's through the CVs that we then share with them, right? It's through the references that we then share with them. After they've went through the interview with you and so forth, you share references. And during the actual interview, because you are now sharing about yourself, right? There's a famous question. The famous question is always about, that's the first one, the most difficult question. Please tell us about yourself. When they are then asking you, it's actually in relation to personal branding in terms of who you are. They want to know as a person who you are, right? So be intentional in terms of how you then be able to share. When they say, tell us about yourself, be able to share who you are. What are your thoughts? What are some of your ideas, specific issues? Share those things, your background. Be able to have the storytelling, being able to sharpen your skill in terms of storytelling. That's what is needed. Yeah. So, colleagues, then with that being said, why does it matter to have a personal brand in today's day and age? Why does it matter? I think I've alluded in relation to employees of today, we Google you before the interview. We check in terms of, what are the things that you speak about? What are you then being engaged on? What are some of the books that you are currently reading? What are some of the readings that you are on to? You know, what are the things that you are reading currently? Whether it's newspapers, thoughts that you are sharing in different spheres of the topics, right? We go through that. Employers, line managers go through that in terms of Googling you. You can then be able to see in terms of your brand. Imagine they were able to see something on TikTok that you have then posted, which is not aligned with them as a brand. Already you're not able to step into that door. Even if you're the most technical person, the most brilliant person for that particular job, the most qualified person for the job, technically, qualification wise, and maybe leadership wise, and so forth. But because you have now not aligned your personal brand with their company brand through what you've actually posted from TikTok, from LinkedIn, from Instagram, and so forth, or from X and so forth, they start saying, shying away from being able now to take you further to that step in terms of the interview. But imagine if you were sharing thought pieces around, the sustainable development goals, what are your thoughts about them, what are your thoughts about Africa, what are your thoughts about the trade wars that are currently happening in America with other worlds. Imagine if you had then been engaged at that particular level. Think about how now they will be able to think about you as a person. They will now to want to invite you, and want to invite you in terms of now being able to say you might have not even applied for the job, but they might headhunt you because of when they Googled you, what they see about you as a person, what you like stand for, what you have then been vocal for, how you are also contributing now to the world. Those are some of the things because they view that as how you contribution to the world and some of the things that you then speak about. Your personal branding and shapes, it's your first impression before they even receive your CV. I think I just alluded to that in terms of the first point. They've not even looked at your CV, what you technically can do, or what you are then qualified for. They've already have that first impression. Look at it now. You have that competitive edge prior before they've even looked at your CV. They are already talking about you in a room without your presence. You are not in there. They're already speaking about you as a person, right? I think I've alluded to this particular point that the market is crowded, right? The competition is very high. Unemployment rate is very high. That's why personal branding it matters in today's day and age because unemployment rate is very high. Why would they be? Give them the reason why they should pull you from the crowd of the huge unemployment rate of the youth that's currently happening. Why should they pull you from the crowd? What's so special about you? What's so different about you that they should be able to pull you? What is the differentiator? So start thinking about that. Start having ideas around that in terms of what the differentiates you in terms of the market. Okay. So as part of my keynote, we'll be then engaging in different themes, and particularly the broader theme is in terms of how your brand can open doors for you before you even end the degree, before your degrees start opening doors for you. Because I can tell you this: once you get this qualification, you'll be now a different person. You will now be separated from the rest, and it's like that. You will now be separated from the rest because you are going to give in something to get something. You are going to give in you as a person, your time, your talent, your thoughts. You're going to give in there to gain something, which will be your degree now, which will be then gaining. You ought to give something for you to get a degree. Otherwise, if you're not going to give in your time, otherwise, if you're not going to lose some of the things, you're not going to get anything out. You're not even going to get the degree. If you're still going to carry on with the lifestyle of staying, or still be able to go chill at the corner with the gents, with the ladies, go out for drinks every weekend without even touching your books, guess what? You will not get the degree. You need to give it something for you to be able to get the degree, right? And the degree will now be the starting point of opening those doors that your brand that you have started with to be able to say, yes, we can see he's active, he's vocal about this, we want him, right? Based on how your online presence, right? It doesn't have to be only online. You meet people face to face through networking. You go to conferences, you go to seminars, you go to workshops, you speak to people, you engage with people. That networking is what then sells you. Once you now get that degree, they will be now, okay, we're happy with his brand or with her brand. Does he have now the technical, or the qualification to then get to that step? Now you've already surpassed that step. So we'll be engaging in terms of how your brand can then open your doors prior before you then even end that particular degree. Right. And I think I've mentioned that I will be speaking to sub themes in relation to that, which is sub topics that are related to that. And then I will be touching in terms of your digital footprint, right? And you might be asking yourself, why are we then talking about, a digital footprint, right? And this is some of the things that will answer. I will be able to be giving some of the thoughts and provoke some of the thinking, to now start making you think differently. Or if you're thinking along these lines, you might be added on in terms of now your thinking, and be able to start questioning. And if you don't have your digital footprint or your online presence today, think about this. 70% of employers are snooping around in terms of candidates, in terms of social media profile. There's a study that has been done by your career hub in 2023 in terms of that there are 70% of employers snooping around. They check profiles in terms of social media before hiring. So imagine now you want to have that digital footprint. If you've applied for 10 vacancies or you've sent out 10 applications, 7 out of those, they will try to first check in terms of your online presence, in terms of your digital footprint. Are you then, there in LinkedIn? Are you there in other social medias? What are the conversations that you're having, right? Because now they will be reading through in terms of what are some of the thoughts that you share, what are some of the thought pieces that you're then liking or commenting on, right? 7 out of the 10 will be then checking that. Just think about it. Right. And there was also a study that was then being done in terms of students with the online, content that are sharing. They at least get 3 times more engagement from employers because they've already been there. Some of the talent managers are the ones that are viewing some of the things that you then share on these particular social media platforms. Because we live with those hiring managers. We live with those recruitment managers. We live with those talent managers. We live with them. They are our next door neighbors. They are our sisters. They are our brothers. We have mutual friends with them. They want to then see in terms of, is it what you're then standing for or be vocal for in line with some of the values of the organization? If you're sharing some of the content, you share some of your thoughts, some of the things that you've read, you are 10 times more likely to be then engaged. They're likely to then be able to speak to you because now they've engaged you in some of your thought piece that you've shared, right? And now when you apply now, they're like, man, I remember this name somewhere. You just don't know where. And then something would then start sparking in terms, oh, they've actually shared something in relation to the sustainability, in relation to those sustainability development goals, in relation to the solutions that they can bring in terms of ESCOM. Then they're able to then spark in terms of, oh, this person is actually can be able to sit in a room and have a conversation with managers, ESCOM level, and so forth. That's then how you then create in terms of your brand. Right. And I think I did indicate in terms of I will then give you some of the tips in relation to how you can be able to then develop or build your professional digital footprint or professional online presence. Right. You have 4 or 5 social media platforms that are currently in existence, within the South African landscape or even, broader globally. First and foremost, you have your LinkedIn, which is ideally for professional networking, right? And career development, right? Be mindful in terms of what are some of the things that you're then being able to post in relation to some of the LinkedIn, because that's the first point of departure, right? That managers, line managers, hiring managers, talent recruitment specialists, they first look at in terms of your activities at LinkedIn. Are you able to speak on some of the issues that are there, that have been posted? Are you able to then comment? Are you able to then share in terms of, this is what you have then been doing? This is what you've been, you've seen some people sharing in terms of that they've acquired a new certification, even if it's a free certification, maybe in AI fluency from Microsoft, which is a free certification, a Google certification in terms of project management. You share those things. Why? They're developing their brand, they're developing their identity because they want to be then engaged. They are likely 3 more times likely to be engaged by their employers. They are likely to be spoken about in the room without them being present because they've been engaging those employers, indirectly by the thought pieces that they then share from LinkedIn, right? You have Instagram, which is a platform that allows you to showcase in terms of your creativity. Right? Share some of the things, that you then do as part of your hobbies, that interest you outside the workspace. And then interested in physical intelligence. Are you a person who's interested in health issues, who's eating diet? Post some of those things. How you then take care of yourself. whether you're running, whether you're cycling, whether you're playing football, whatever the issue is, right? That shares a highlight in terms of your personal things, your hobbies. Imagine if you're sharing that, things that are related in terms of how you take care of your health. What does the employer then start thinking about? Oh, we likely to have this person, if we then to hire them in terms of their health wise, they're taking care of themselves. We are likely to have this person in terms of the lifespan, the life cycle, much more longer because that person is able to treat themselves, they're able to take care of themselves. You can share some of your personal achievements on Instagram. You can share whenever you're doing graduations, share pictures, share some of the master classes that you then attend, career days that you then go through, that you then attend, pictures of, esteemed entrepreneurs, CEOs, leadership executive people within the industry that you are interested in. If you're interested in banking, pictures, with your likes of your Shamalala's CEO of Standard Bank, when you attend those seminars, that they do, maybe at Standard Bank and so forth. We from Regenesys side, we also have that. We'll be hosting that on I think it's the 27th of September. In terms of career day, we'll be bringing different industries, your Coca-Colas, we are engaging them, South African Reserve Bank, your ABSAs, your Santam, take pictures with some of those, recruitment specialists that will be there. Share them on Instagram that you've been engaging with some of these people. That creates your digital presence, your professional presence, because people will be able to see in terms of the network that you're having. And there's a saying that we know, your network results to your network, right? As we then know it. TikTok, X, right? Those are some of the other platforms that are then useful in terms of expressing your personalities, being there sharing in terms of some of the issues, some of the ideas, share your originality ideas, your authenticity, engage in conversations there, especially when it comes to TikTok, you can then engage in terms of, teaching somebody something online that right? Just an easy thing, right? An easy, simple thing that is not even related with academia. Just sharing a TikTok video in terms of, how you can be able to do a Wi-Fi calling using an iPhone, using an Android, and so forth. Because we are having that mindset of teaching, it now becomes equivalent to academia. It now talks to your employer when it comes to now your career to say this person is willing to go learn something and be able to transfer the knowledge. They are not selfish with the knowledge that they have. They are then willing to share that knowledge with everybody else. That directly speaks to the talented recruitment managers, hiring managers, in terms of your personality as a person. It might be funny that you might have shared that in terms of how do you do a Wi-Fi calling using an Android or an iOS, and that person who picked up, that was the actual hiring manager was actually saying, how do I, sometimes I don't have time to just quickly call. I just want to call people. How can I use Wi-Fi calling? And it actually happens that it's a line manager that you are then applying for the job for. Just think about those things. Nice thing about your X or Twitter, as it was formerly known, people are able to share current things that are then happening. They're able to share conversations that are currently happening, things that are currently affecting people, status quo, politics. Share your thinking there. Share how you think, in terms of the solutions to the problems that were then being encountered. We go to companies because we're trying to solve a particular issue for the company, right? We are trying to solve particular pains for the company. That's why we then get to be hired. We get to be hired because we've presented to ourselves in terms of this is how I can be able to manage to solve the pain, the problems of your company. This is what I've observed from your company, reading through newspapers, following it through. That this is some of the things that you then be exposed to. This is how then I can be able to solve some of the pains. Right. So another thing then collects it's in relation to how do you then make your profile then shine, right? Especially when it comes to all these social media platforms. Just invest. Make sure that you have a professional picture that you have, whether it's through your X, whether it's through your LinkedIn. Make sure that that picture is more approachable, appropriate in a sense, right? So that people can be able to then engage you when they're looking at you, they're able to then see you in terms of, having that professionalism, right? And sorry about that. And, have that professional picture that is there that people can be able to then engage on, right? The bio, in terms of the headline bio, then showcases you in terms of some of your passions that you have as a person, and some of your focus in terms of topics that you then engaged on, in terms of academia and in terms of your career aspirations. Have that, because Twitter X allows you to then have that in terms of your headline, LinkedIn allows you to then have that. Instagram allows you to then have that. Have that. Make sure that they're actually professionally sold, right? That's how you're then able to then sell in terms of your brand. Share some of share some of the content. I think we've been engaged in terms of that. Share your thinking in terms of some of conversations that are currently happening, that are currently affecting people as a whole, that are currently affecting companies that you're looking at, right? Whether you're looking at going to a retail, share some of your thought pieces in relation to some of the issues, some of the pains that are affecting retail. Share solutions that you think. You can read about those particular solutions, from different people, to some research, to some reading, and be able to go share your thoughts in terms of if you think that this is how they could be able to solve this issue. Spark could be having an issue of something. Spy is having an issue of delivery. You can now share your thoughts in terms of Spy. We are living in a day of, online deliveries and so forth. Could be a solution for you as well. And you could do it in this particular fashion or in this particular manner. Share some of those ideas. Then colleagues, I'll speak about now trying in terms of aligning your strengths. Apologies about that, with some of your career goals. First and foremost, your strengths, it must align in terms of having that self-awareness. Manage to be able to identify your constraints, whether you're good at. We have a module now. I'm trying to have that linkage now from your BBA qualification, right? BBA program that you will then be exposed to. We have a module as part of your first year, which is called Personal Mastery. Personal Mastery module, it will be reflecting on these issues in terms of self-awareness, because you'll be now personally mastering yourself in terms of who you are, what are you existing for, right? Which will now speak to your personal branding, because this is your values about you, this is your reputation about you, right? Identify what you're good at, what are your strengths, be aware of yourself, and you'll see through the personal mastery module that is part of your BBA program, you will be required to at least 2 strengths so that you are then being able to put them, and then be required to put 2 weaknesses that you can be able to now work on, right? So you will see that as part of then your module. And then be able to align, with the industry needs, with the industry, what are the problems that are there as the industry that you're looking at, whether it's retail, whether it's in banking, whether it's telecommunications, whether it's academia, what are the needs in that particular industry? And then once you identify those needs, try to then channel yourself in terms of your brand, in terms of the conversations that you have, try to make them link the needs, the pace of that particular industry. Right. And some of the do's and don'ts in terms of your personal branding, you must always be authentic. Be authentic in terms of who you are, as I've indicated in the previous slide, in terms of the self-awareness. Be authentic, right? Be consistent in terms of your storytelling, in terms of what you're then being exposed to, in terms of the content, in terms of how you are aligning yourself. Be consistent. Also be consistent in terms of your standpoint about something, whether politically or whether in terms of different topics or academically, whatever the case is. Be consistent with that particular point and flip-flop around, some of the topics or some of the principles, right? You can flip-flop around in terms of, issues of technical in terms of how to get there. But in terms of principle, be consistent, right? Be visible. Always be engaged, always be present, always post something, always go for networking. Be there in terms of some of these networking events that we do as part of industry breakfast, industry endeavors that we have, some of the student excursions that we have. We just did one in May with the South African Reserve Bank. Be there, ask questions, because that allows the people to then know you. Go research some of the things that you can be able to then ask. Because now I will be able to know that, Sibongisini did ask me a certain question, which was a very nice question. Questions related when you're speaking to South African Reserve Bank in terms of why is it still privately owned? So that people can see that you did some of your research. Be there, be present, be visible, show up. It's all about showing up. Apologies about that. The don'ts, do not imitate others because that has a short legs. It's not you. It's not about you. Be yourself, authentic. Don't imitate others. Do not neglect the digital presence. Always be there. Always show up. Do not ignore feedback. You will receive feedback from some of these blogs that you then share, from some of the comments that you then made on some of the thought pieces that would have been shared by somebody else. Do not ignore those feedbacks. Take those feedbacks. Take them as constructive feedbacks. So, within that being said, then colleagues, other than been trying to then have that linkage to then your BBA, in terms of how then your BBA qualification will give you that competitive advantage once you then start having that particular degree. Just think foremost it will build in terms of your confidence because we have now the technical know-how in relation to some of the issues related to marketing, related to project management, and so forth. It will allow you to have that leadership skills that you will then be exposed to in terms of the content and self-awareness through the personal mastery module that you'll then be exposed to. Right? It will assist you in terms of that. Personal development modules, personal mastery module that I was then indicating on. And then we will start encouraging you in terms of being innovative in terms of your thinking critically and some of entrepreneurial thinking. Right? And what we then also expose you to as part of the BBA program in relation to also your personal branding in relation to you to be competitive in the market is that how we structure in terms of assessments, they are based on case studies, real case studies, real pains that are there, right? That you will be trying to solve as part of those case studies, right? And some of those case studies are speaking in terms of some of the things that impact the society. In relation to leadership that is not there, that is not showing up, that is not, directly engaged in terms of the community, right? Those are some of the things that we then expose you to. We expose you to some of the master classes. How we then do it each and every segment or each and every, once you're done with, say for example, your first module will be strategic management modules. Once we're then done, we do master classes. We then expose you to industrial people. That's where you are then needed to engage them. Because we might have an HR masterclass in relation to recruitment. Be there, engage them, because those are your hiring managers that will be there, will be calling ahead of recruitment from Coca-Cola and so forth. Be there and be engaged in some of those masterclasses. So this is the overall in terms of the curriculum. Apologies, you might hear me being quicker. It's in relation in terms of time. I was asked so that we are able to then finish on time within an hour. Qualification, as you know, it's the Bachelor's of Business Administration, it's at NQF level 7. The credits, the 60 credits. You will be able to complete this qualification in 3 years' time, and you can do it online, or you can also do it as a contact classes. And these are some of the modules that you would then have, and I've indicated in terms of your personal mastery module being also there. You'll be exposed to key, strategic modules in relation to economics, how the economy then functions, whether locally from a micro perspective or macro perspective. You'll be then exposed to financial management in terms of how to then manage finances and so forth, right? Those are some of the modules that you'll then be exposed to. And you'll also be exposed to year 2 modules, which will also be speaking to similar modules like marketing, project management, and so forth. And these are some of the 3rd-year modules that you'll then be exposed to, which now then includes you now being trying to be then introduced to research, to the research methodology, where you'll be doing a research proposal, and then you'll start being exposed to then business law in terms of contractual issues and so forth, right? And some of the career opportunities that are there then for you as now you are leaving, you've done the qualification, or you're currently now started the qualification, you're in your 2nd year, you're in your 3rd year. Where can you then start? As a person who's currently in, or as a graduate, you start doing internships, right? In graduate programs, being an administrator, being a business administrator, being a sales consultant, if you're going into that route in terms of sales consultants. If you're currently working, you could get to a junior management level, which is maybe being a supervisor, and so forth. And you can explore opportunities around entrepreneurship. Right. And some of the further studies in terms of pathways, you can be able to still study with us as part of the postgraduate diploma in business administration, right? And you could also, if you want to then maybe go through the academia route, you can go through study honors qualification within other institutions. And in terms of the admission process, first and foremost, to be able to check in terms of your entry requirements. Are you then meeting the entry requirements? Do you have that bachelor's pass in terms of your metric? You need to be able to have that. If you are not able then to then meet that, but you still have that bachelor's pass, maybe you've been working in the industry maybe for the last 5-10 years in a managerial role. There's an RPL then that you then go through in terms of process to then be admitted. You'll then be required to complete an online application, complete that application that has then been required from you. You'll share some of documentations that are then required. Then there's a registration fee, go through that, and then you'll hear from the institution in terms of now being accepted, and going through the program. Right. And then I think that before I allow for the Q&A session, I will allow the 10 minutes to go to the financial aid in terms of, sales people to then assist us, or from finance people to then assist us, and some of the financial aids that are then available in terms of you to be able to finance or fund your studies. I don't know if then we are then being joined by a person then from that team to then assist us on that. Do we have a finance person then to then assist us? Okay.
So I'm from sales. I can assist if there's any question.
Thank you.
What's happening here? Oh my gosh.
Do you have a presentation that you want to put, or do you want to go through?
No, you can probably say that statement.
Hi, Rianda.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Pakamile. I'm from the sales department at Regenesys. I'm not too sure. Did you get anyone from finance department?
No, I don't think there's anybody that then joined us.
Okay, so I'm from the sales department at Regenesys. I am the sales manager. Today I would like to thank everyone for joining our masterclass. It has been really informative and eye-opening. So thank you so much, Rianda, for such a beautiful and informative session. I myself have learned so much. I actually, for a second there, I went back and I thought about my personal brand as well. So it was really informative. I too, I have something to take back and look at my social media platforms and just go back and just rebrand. And then also, thank you so much for giving us the insights about the program offerings at the Regenesys Business School in terms of the BBA as well as the postgraduates. And then also for you to know that we are now currently open for the October registrations. So if you are looking for a program starting from higher certificates till our doctorate programs, we are available, we are open. So you are welcome to ask questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to write them on chat. We'll be more than happy to answer you. Or if you are already willing to take on an application, together with the team, we'll be more than happy to assist you with your academic journey. So thank you so much, Rianda.
Thank you very much, Palamide. And maybe I will then go to now the Q&A session and just open it up for any questions. I think I will then stop in terms of sharing my screen so that I'm able to see some of the questions that might be coming through. Let me check also on the chat. Okay. I think there was...
Sorry, Leander. I'm
Yes.
seeing a hand up. I'm seeing Sipo Setu has a hand up. Sipo Setu, can I take your question? Sipo, is it Sipo?
No.
Sisipo.
Yes, Sisipo.
Yes, Sisipo.
I'm here to ask, can I be able to save today's session so I can watch later? And also, my second question is, how much is the registration fee? And in terms of financial aid, where do we go? How do I get an assistant?
Okay. All right, so Sisipo, the session is a live session, so you will be able to rewatch it on YouTube. Okay, so it will be available for you on YouTube. Okay, and then in terms of program-wise, admission fees is 1,170.
No.
Sorry, so registration admission fees is 1,170. Okay, and then in terms of financial assistance, we do offer different types of assistance. Okay, so depending on your situation, we can assist you. If I can just have your details, I'll be more than happy to assist you and give you a breakdown in terms of the assistance that we do offer. Okay. Do I have another question?
I mean, I think I don't see any other questions, but I'm just seeing some comments here.
Okay.
Yola, I think she's saying that she's, I'm listening from Zambia and appreciate the content, very enriching. Keep it up. Thank you very much, Yola, on that. Okay, currently working for an NGO in Zambia in administration department, and I would like to I don't know what was the written there. Okay, great, my qualification. Okay. Okay, I think Yona, I think maybe are you wanting to ask about credits, or are you want to ask about accreditation in terms of our institution, in terms of where is it accredited? I think maybe if then that's the question then. We are then accredited by the Council of Higher Education in South Africa, as well as the SAQA, which is the Qualification Authority, which is the South African Qualification Authority, and with the DHET, which is the Department of the Higher Education and Training in South Africa. And then we also have some professional body accreditations with, we have your EMBA as part of a member. We part of EMBA with the BGA, which is the Association of Masters of Business Administration and Business Graduate Administration, which is the BGA, which we are part of as the school, which is the BGA, which we are a member for, which then assists you in terms of some of the professional bodies. We are also an international accredited institution, if that's what you are then asking as part of your question. Okay. Over King, I think there's a question in terms of how do I remain authentic without oversharing personal details. How do I then remain authentic without sharing personal details? I think then over King, it will then depend in terms of what you are then sharing. I think you can still be able to, not share your personal details and still be authentic in terms of your thoughts about a certain, topic or a certain thing that you're then being exposed to. You can still share your thoughts, because your thoughts you're not sharing in terms of your personal details, but you'll be sharing about your personal thinking. And maybe how then you can also be assisted in terms of your personal thinking. You can be assisted by, looking at what are some of the people that are saying, and then how does it align with your views as a person. Authenticity is about what do you then value as a person? What are your principles? What are the things that you cannot bend that will then make you to be authentic as a person? You won't be sharing any personal things. You're just sharing in terms of this is what I stand for as a person. And thank you very much for that question. Yes, also on the chats, there's some questions that will then go through. Oh, no, thank you, Yona. Okay, you're seeing a lot of answers to your questions. I'm Mr. Rienda. I'm just finishing my BBAR, but I urgently need my academic transcript. Can you assist? Okay, future. I think the person that can then assist you then, do you have your designated admin person that is then assisting you, or customer relations manager? You can then assist you in terms of your issues related to transcript. Just let me know if you don't have that person. I think we have like your Muipati that can then be able to assist you on that. We have your Nosipos, your Kellys, Ones that can be able to then assist you on that. Okay, and Pagamili also ask you to then email student support in terms of that. And then check some of the questions that might have been there. Okay, transcript. Okay. Okay. Okay, Bomega, I would also would like to know where I can review your careers or open vacancies. Okay, we have a Dananda. It's called Dananda in terms of, before I go to future, we have Dananda Talent that can then assist you. Just search in terms of your search in terms of Dananda Talent can then assist you in terms of some of the careers that we have in Regenesys. Okay, Future, was there a hand up or was it? Oh, okay, thank you.
Hi, Leander.
Yes, yes.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can.
Yes, it was a hand up. Apparently, I requested I got a progress report, so I'm not sure whether I can get an academic report in time because my HRPP manager was in need of the academic report because I appraised him that I've completed the program because I've got all the results in the progress report, but I don't have an official academic record.
Okay. I think normally official academic records, they are handed over during the graduations. That's how normally the process then goes. I think probably Future on your end, you might request like a letter of completion, something like that. If you want to maybe share with your manager in terms of, as evidence of you then completing. I think then Pagamile also has a hand up. Maybe she can also share some thoughts there in terms of addressing the concern that you have. Pagamile?
Thank you, Leander. Future, so if you could please kindly provide your student number, and then we can assist you and get you in communications with the relevant department. Okay?
Okay, sorry, I'll give you the student number in the chat because my administrator has been assisting me all along, but unfortunately, I got the progress report, which took time off, but it's good because I got it today. Unfortunately, I'm running out of time for the at least letter of confirmation or the academic record, the official one. That's what they want because I did send the progress report, but they need the official one for employee file purposes.
Okay.
Okay.
No problem.
Send that
Share the student number.
Okay, then colleagues, I'm told that we are about 2 minutes in terms of our time. Thank you very much for joining the session and thank you so much for the questions that you then shared with us. Unfortunately, probably we might not be able to answer all of them due to the time, but we then truly appreciate you taking the time to be with us until we then meet next time then, colleagues. Thank you very much, colleagues, for joining us. We truly appreciate it. I hope you then be able to grow those brands. Thank you. And
thank you so much. The session was informative. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Leander.
Thank you, colleagues.
And thank you everyone for joining.